It was night. The hour was late, and the toy shop was surrounded by a gloomy silence. The lights flickered on one by one, and as usual, I was checking the security cameras. I was the only one in the store. Everything seemed normal, but there was still something off. The cold, damp air had been choking my throat ever since I entered. It was past midnight. Suddenly, I heard a sound from afar. At first, I thought it was the wind, but something felt wrong. I started watching one of the cameras. No matter how carefully I looked, there was nothing there. But I could feel it. A danger was approaching, step by step. Then, I heard a faint creak coming from near the wall. I jumped up from my seat, my ears sharp. My heart began to race. No one comes here at this hour, I said to myself, but I took a step forward. There was no one inside the shop, but something was amiss. It felt like someone was watching me. I slowly checked the cameras again. Then, a shadow appeared. I narrowed my eyes and focused carefully. I quickly moved the camera angle, but the shadow disappeared. There was another camera. That one was empty too. But something was crawling inside me, urging me to leave. Then I heard a sound, a shrill scream, like it was stuck in my throat. It was so sharp and loud that my skin prickled. I quickly moved toward the shop, my fear growing. At that moment, I noticed something. The toys, every single one of them, had fallen over. No matter where I looked, everything was knocked over. Suddenly, I heard the sound of children. My vision blurred. There were no children here, I knew that. The sound grew louder. No! I screamed, but my voice echoed and bounced back at me. That sound was circling around me, moving with me. In an instant, a toy bear began to move on the floor. Its eyes were glowing. I stepped back, tripped, and fell to the ground. At that moment, I knew something was watching me, but I didn't want to see it. A shadow slowly approached. It appeared right in front of me. No one can be here, I said, but the sound silenced me. Everything went dark in an instant. Fear was rising in me like a sob in my chest, deepening with every step. I wasn't alone in the toy shop, but I couldn't see anyone.
It was night. The hour was late, and Khan was alone in his room, looking at his phone. The ticking of the wall clock was the only sound in the otherwise silent room. He had been scrolling through social media for a while, looking at old photos and checking his friends' posts. He was so focused that he didn't realize how much time had passed. Suddenly, his phone screen froze. Khan didn't notice at first and kept staring at the screen. Then, a small notification appeared at the bottom. New message, it read. But Khan was only using his phone at that moment. He hadn't sent a message to anyone. Curiously, he clicked on the notification. The message came from an unknown number. The content was just a few words.
I'm watching you.
Khan shuddered and stared at the screen again. The number wasn't in his contacts, and there was no name in the message. He thought for a moment. Maybe it was a prank from one of his friends, but the thought of it being a joke made him uneasy. Just then, his phone screen went black. Khan tried to turn the phone back on, but the screen didn't respond. At that moment, he heard a noise coming from just outside his door. A faint, almost imperceptible whisper. Khan quickly turned his head, but there was no one in the room. His heart began to race. He tried to open his phone again, and when the screen lit up, another message appeared.
Don't hide. I will find you.
Khan stepped back, his eyes frantically scanning the room. Even though everything seemed quiet, there was something off. Then, he noticed something in the wall mirror that shouldn't have been there. There was a reflection, but it wasn't his own. The reflection was taking steps toward him. Khan froze, unable to believe what he was seeing. The reflection slowly became clearer. It was smiling at him. That smile wasn't one he recognized. Khan, trembling with fear, threw his phone to the floor and rushed to the door. Just as he opened it, he heard another whisper from the dark corner of the room.
You'll leave, but I'm still here.
As he slammed the door behind him, he realized his phone had turned back on, but the screen was still dark. One last message appeared.
You're inside. You can't escape.
From that day on, Khan never slept in that room again. Whenever he picked up his phone, a message always appeared from an unknown number.
I'm here.
One evening, Alex decided to play with her little daughter Emily at home. The sky had darkened and it was cold outside, but the house was warm. Emily was showing her father her favorite toys and Alex was telling him funny stories. Their bond was growing stronger with each passing day. Suddenly, Emily's cheerful smile faded. She stopped playing and looked intently at the corner of the room. Not understanding what was happening, Alex turned her gaze to where Emily was looking. A shadow appeared in the corner of the room, in front of an old mirror. Alex smiled slightly. "Emily, what's there?" she asked. Instead of answering, Emily nodded silently and continued to look at the corner, her hands trembling. Trying to stay calm but feeling confused, Alex walked over and called her name, but Emily still couldn't take her eyes off the corner. Just then, the shadow in the mirror started to move. Alex's heart started to beat faster. The room suddenly felt much colder. The air had changed and her hands were shaking. The shadow was now so distinct that it looked like it was moving like a person. When Alex looked at Emily, her eyes were filled with fear.
"Dad,"
she whispered, her voice barely audible.
"it's watching us."
Alex gently took Emily in her arms and decided to leave the room. But when she took a step, she noticed something strange. The door wouldn't close. No matter how hard she tried, the door seemed stuck, as if something was pulling her. Suddenly, the mirror flashed again and the shadow began to move into the room. Alex, trying to overcome her fear, grabbed Emily and ran out of the room. They ran to the bedroom, but the house was eerily silent. The only sound was Emily's wildly beating heart. After a while, they managed to calm down. Alex tried to comfort Emily, but her mind kept drifting to that room. When Emily finally fell asleep, Alex put her on the bed and closed the door. However, during the night, Alex noticed something strange. The house was unnervingly silent. After a while, the bedroom door began to slowly creak open. Turning around in fear, Alex saw a face reflected in the mirror. It looked like Emily's, but the smile wasn't hers. At that moment, Alex realized that nothing was right.